Thank you for watching Power News with your host Shikama. Today we're talking about Colorado and I believe Massachusetts, but Colorado has completely decriminalized all marijuana use. That's right, people. In Colorado, marijuana use for medical or recreational purposes is completely legal. There is no illegality of it whatsoever. But here is my video. I predict that the federal government, which still classifies marijuana as a class 1 drug, akin to heroin and cocaine or even some of the very toxic drugs that will kill you automatically, like poisons, will swoop in and start arresting people in Colorado. So you have states' rights versus the federal government. The federal government is not supposed to have a DEA. Why would the federal government have a DEA when the states are in control and are supposed to be over their citizenry? There is no place in the United States where there is not a statehood, except for the District of Columbia, which should be a state. I don't know why they have been denied statehood all of this time. I think for over 100 years or even 200 years, I believe they wanted a statehood all of that time, but they were denied it by the federal government. Go figure. Anyway, I predict that there will be a lot of swooping. Swooping is bad. And then you're going to get into who is ultimately over the citizens of a state, the federal government or the state. Constitutionally speaking, the Constitution clearly states all of the laws and limitations that is hoisted upon the federal government. Any other rights are reserved to the people and the states. The federal government is supposed to be a tiny capstone. The states are supposed to have all of the power. So constitutionally speaking, there should not be anything that the people of Texas agree on that the federal government can come in and say, no, we think that the California way is better, we trump you. It doesn't work that way, and it's not supposed to work that way. So this whole controversy and issue about the marijuana being legalized, which is a good thing, they were simply throwing people in jail when the medical community is staunchly against them throwing people in jail over marijuana. They were throwing people on their deathbeds in jail. And finally, the lawmakers, in their infinite wisdom, said, you know, there is a very thin line between this whole medical marijuana controversy and recreational use, because there are people who are suffering through whatever and can't get a medical marijuana license or agreement or permission. So we are going to decriminalize the entire system, which is a wise decision, because even if you legalize the whole medical marijuana thing, you're going to have people who fall through the cracks. And I don't mean just one or two people. I mean, you're going to have 30% of the supposed people who are supposed to be on medical marijuana per their doctor for, you know, glaucoma patients, cancer patients, what have you, and they won't be able to get their medical marijuana or not qualify for it or whatever. And you're going to have people dying. This is a bad thing. So, in their infinite wisdom, they say, you know what, there is too much margin of error. We're going to just decriminalize the entire thing. We already have alcohol, which is completely legal, which does far more damage than anything marijuana has ever done in the history of mankind. Alcohol. And I don't just mean drunk driving. I mean alcohol in general. Shooting people, jumping off of bridges, falling off of ledges. Alcohol. It is not such a great drug and fantastic and control. It's not even controlled, really. There's nothing to say that the government is going to be able to control people who are on alcohol. We already see the evidence of that. Now, the behavior pattern for alcohol versus marijuana is very, very different. Somebody on alcohol can be belligerent, angry, violent, what have you. But the behavior pattern for somebody on marijuana is not violent, it's not belligerent, it's not mad or angry. At least to my knowledge. The scientific data that I've seen, the documentaries that I've seen, they've studied marijuana. A lot of the things that they say that they studied and say that they reviewed, saying that it damages your DNA and that it damages your brain cells and it damages, is a complete lie. Nobody has done a scientific, peer-reviewed study just for that. There have been studies to see the behavior pattern, to see response time, but they have not done a prolonged marijuana use study to get all of the medical and DNA changing sort of fantasy out of the way. To my knowledge, there has not been a study, and to my knowledge, doctors have said that there is no proof that smoking marijuana for any length of time, short or long term, for years on end, will, and this is from doctors, it will not change your DNA, it will not change your memory, it will not kill off brain cells. Drinking alcohol, however, has been proven to completely eat away at your brain and your liver and other internal organs. So, the issue for this video, however, is states' rights over federal rights. Should the federal government have the authority to come into a state whose people have all voted on an issue to the point of a constitutional level, state constitutional level type of vote, not just a regular little does 30% of the people agree on it? We're talking about an overwhelming majority agrees on it. Can the federal government supplant the rights of the population of a state and the state government to decriminalize marijuana and instead impose federal law over it, which in the Constitution they do not have such a power. There is no constitutional power to even form a DEA agency. Thank you for watching the Power News with your host, Shikama. Leave a comment below, answer my question, and share this video if you would. Thank you.